The shelter had one rule about them: keep them together. Not because it was policy, not because someone wrote it in a manual, but because the last time someone tried to separate them, the smaller one stopped eating for 4 days, and the other one sat at the kennel door and didn't move for 11 hours straight. Nobody clocked in or out without walking past those two. Nobody left without feeling something they couldn't quite name. But to understand why this mattered, we have to go back to the beginning. Their names were Patch and Scout, two tabby cats found together behind a laundromat on a wet Thursday morning in November. Patch was the smaller one, brown and gray striped with a white chest and a pink nose that made her look permanently surprised. Scout was slightly bigger, slightly calmer, with the same tabby markings but eyes that moved slower, like he was always thinking 2 steps ahead. They were estimated to be about 14 months old, young enough to still want to play, old enough to understand what it meant to be cold. When the rescue worker arrived that morning, both cats were pressed against each other underneath an overturned plastic crate, not just touching, completely intertwined, as if one body heat wasn't enough and they had decided to become one thing instead of two. The rescue worker noted in her report, "Bonded pair. Do not attempt to separate under any circumstances." She had been doing this work for 9 years. She had never written that note before. At the shelter, they were placed in Kennel 7 together. The first week, they didn't eat much, they didn't explore, they didn't approach the front of the kennel when people walked by. They simply stayed in the back corner, curled together, watching. Shelter director Karen had seen hundreds of cats come through those doors. She had watched cats adapt, cats shut down, cats transform into different animals entirely under the stress of shelter life. But Patch and Scout were something else. They weren't scared, she said later. They were patient, like they already knew something we didn't. The family started coming in the 3rd week, a young couple who took one look at Scout and asked if he could be adopted separately, a family with 2 kids who wanted Patch but thought Scout seemed too intense, an older woman who loved them both but lived in an apartment that allowed only one pet. Each time, Karen explained the situation. Each time, people nodded, smiled politely, and moved on to the next kennel. Weeks passed, then a month, then 6 weeks. Then what happened on a quiet Sunday afternoon changed everything. A man named Daniel walked in with his 9-year-old daughter, Nora. Nora had been asking for a cat for 2 years. Not just any cat, she had a very specific idea in her head. She didn't know what that idea was exactly, she just knew she'd recognize it when she saw it. Daniel had been skeptical. He was the kind of man who made spreadsheets for grocery runs and kept the car keys on the same hook every single day. A cat felt like a variable he hadn't accounted for. But here he was. Nora walked slowly past the kennels. She didn't stop at the kittens. She didn't stop at the fluffy orange one everyone else had been crowding around. She stopped at Kennel 7. She crouched down, and Patch walked directly to the front of the kennel, sat down, and looked at her. Not the way cats usually look at strangers. Not cautious, not calculating, just steady, like she had been expecting exactly this person at exactly this time. Scout moved a few inches closer behind her, not pushing forward, just present.
"Dad," Nora said quietly, "these are mine." Daniel looked at the sign on the kennel. "Bonded pair. Must be adopted together." He looked at his spreadsheet brain. He looked at his daughter's face. And if you're still reading this and haven't subscribed yet, I have to be honest with you. That actually stings a little. Hit subscribe. You need to be here for what comes next. Daniel said yes. He didn't ask about the food costs. He didn't ask about vet history. He didn't negotiate. He just said yes. Karen processed the paperwork with the quiet efficiency of someone who had been waiting for this moment for 6 weeks. The ride home was silent. Nora sat in the back seat with the carrier on her lap. Both cats pressed against the mesh door from the inside. Not crying, not panicking, just watching the world move past the window like it was something they had been waiting to see. But what happened in the first hour at the house, nobody could have predicted. Daniel had set up a room for them: food, water, litter box, soft bed in the corner. He opened the carrier door and stepped back. Patch walked out first. She moved through the room slowly, nose working, ears rotating. She checked the food. She checked the water. She pressed her nose against the corner of the bed. Then she turned around, walked back to the carrier, and sat down in front of it, and waited. Scout emerged 4 minutes later. He walked directly to where Patch was standing. He touched his nose to her forehead, and then they both walked into the room together, not one following the other, together, as if she had been saying, "I checked it, it's safe, come see." Daniel stood in the doorway and felt something he hadn't expected to feel. He didn't have a word for it. He wrote it in a text to his sister that night. "I think I just watched 2 cats take care of each other." His sister replied, "That's what they do when they've only had each other." Nora spent the first 3 evenings on the floor of that room. No phone, no tablet, just sitting cross-legged near the bed, reading out loud from whatever book she had. She didn't try to hold them, she didn't reach for them, she just let her voice fill the room and let them decide what to do with it. In the 3rd evening, at exactly 7:19 p.m., Scout walked across the room and stepped into her lap. He turned once, he settled, and the low rumble that came out of him filled the entire room. Patch watched from the bed for exactly 47 seconds. Then she crossed the room, stepped up onto Nora's knee beside him, and tucked herself against his side. Nora sat completely still. She didn't say anything for a long time. Then she looked up at Daniel standing in the doorway and said very quietly, "They chose me back." From that moment on, they were never truly apart again. Mornings, Patch was first up, padding into the kitchen while the coffee brewed, sitting on the counter watching Daniel with the authority of a supervisor reviewing someone's work. Scout stayed in Nora's room until she woke up, every morning without fail. When she had a hard week at school, the kind that makes 9-year-olds go quiet in ways adults don't always notice, Scout moved from the foot of the bed to directly beside her pillow. He didn't do anything dramatic, he just moved closer, and somehow that was enough. Patch had her own way. On the days Daniel came home tense, jaw tight from whatever the day had handed him, she would walk directly to him and sit on his feet. Not his lap, his feet, as if she was saying, "You're not going anywhere, and neither am I." He started leaving work at the office after that. 6 months after that Sunday at the shelter, Daniel found himself thinking about the spreadsheet in his head that day. All the variables, all the unknowns. None of the math had mattered. He thought about Nora crouching in front of Kennel 7. He thought about Patch walking to the front and simply looking at her. And he understood something he couldn't have understood before. Some things don't ask permission to be necessary. They just arrive and refuse to leave. Would you have walked past them that day, or would you have stopped? Tell me in the comments.